these days.
Yeah. First, though, today could be your lucky day.
It could be. We don't know for sure, but we're going to help you maximize the chances with some of the things going on in the country these days, you know, especially with the economy. A lot of people just don't feel very lucky. But Mary Abbajay is here to tell us that's not necessarily true, and she's going to show us some ways that we can make our own luck. Mary, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Sounds
Happy
good.
Lucky Monday.
Thank you.
And did you know before we start that people born in May are the luckiest people of all?
Really?
Yeah.
I'm born in May.
Me too.
You've had kind of a lucky day so far.
I have had a very lucky day.
We won't share that with you.
We'll just mention so people at home know. The schedules have changed a little bit around here, so I'm actually getting to sleep in a little bit. So
well,
that's
good for you.
That's lucky.
Man, if anybody deserves it, you do, I'll say, for sure.
Thank you, Doug. That's very nice.
This is all about making your own luck,
Absolutely.
really. And a lot of it has to do, I'm guessing, with your attitude, right?
So much has to do with your attitude. There are so many ways you can create your luck. The first thing that you can do to make yourself lucky, and I don't mean lucky in love, I just mean lucky, getting serendipity to come into your life, is you have to actually believe you're lucky. So people who actually acknowledge and believe that they're lucky, that I am a lucky person, lucky things will happen to me, will actually be more lucky because we see what we look for. So if we believe we're lucky, more lucky things are going to come into our life.
Does this sound like the power of positive thinking to you?
In some ways it is, which is another thing. This has been studied by social scientists for a long, long time now. And what they're finding is that people who have a positive attitude, whose attitudes are positive and they're open-minded and they are somewhat extroverted to the world, are going to find more lucky opportunities because they see them. They did this really cool study where they put two people. One person was very stressed and very like, I'm not lucky, and the other person was like, I'm lucky and I'm not stressed. They put them under a stressful situation and they sent them on a task. The person who's like, I can handle this, found the $20 bill they had planted and met the person they were supposed to meet at this coffee shop. The stressed out person walked like this, you know, and didn't see the money and didn't meet the person. They did this time after time. So your attitude can create luck.
But there's another component to it, I suspect, and you mentioned the word serendipity.
Yeah.
Serendipity is a term that comes from science. When scientists discover something that they had not intended to discover. It happens kind of accidentally.
Accidentally.
But I suspect that scientists who discover things serendipitously are more creative.
Yes.
They don't get stuck in a certain line of thinking.
And that's another exact point where you can increase your luck. You have to be flexible. Flexible in your approach to life, flexible in your thinking. You have to be willing and open to trying new things and looking at things differently. When we get really tunneled and narrowed in our approach, we don't see things. And part of luck and serendipity is being open to seeing it. And once you're seeing it, being open and brave enough to actually follow that. So it's one thing to find the luck, to find the serendipity, but to act on it creates a whole nother challenge.
And I love the example that you sent us some information, and it came from a website, and it was a couple in Long Island, and they were on the hunt for a new house, and they looked and looked high and low, couldn't find one, either it was too expensive or it didn't suit them, and then all of a sudden here they are at a red light, stopped at a red light. What happens?
And they found the house. They see the house they want, and they go and they just knock on the door and they ask the people. You know, and so you think that these things just happen. They don't. They were open-minded, they were looking, they were flexible, and they were willing to take a first step and to be brave to do something out of the ordinary.
So the difference between someone who's not so lucky and someone who is lucky maybe is that first of all, they're able to recognize something when it hits them in the face?
Yep, you have to recognize it. So you have to be open to it. You have to say, oh, that's interesting. You have to be willing to let go of preconceived notions. You also have to be, in some ways, kind of extroverted and open. They say that people who are lucky tend to have large networks of friends. They tend to be much more self-confident. They tend to be much more able to take risk. And they tend to be willing to kind of put themselves out there.
Right. This risk-taking thing is really hard for a lot of people to do because they get so comfortable in their lives, so comfortable, especially in their jobs.
Yeah.
You know, they've got to report to work on time today, got to do my job, and that tunnel vision thing happens, and before you know it, you've dug a really deep hole.
You dug. That's exactly right. And luck isn't going to find you if you've dug yourself into a deep hole. You know, even just adjusting your behavior, even slightly, is going to start to adjust your mental behavior as well, to open things up. Even something like doing your work in a different order, or sitting in a different seat in the metro, or striking up a conversation with somebody you're waiting in line at the copier or in the coffee shop. Little things like that can really help bring luck into your life.
You know, a lot of people need it. And you were talking about people, you know, with the work factor and the career factor. A lot of people out of work right now could use a little bit of luck, right?
Right. And ironically, I've heard from a lot of people who have been, you know, laid off or who lost their jobs in the present recession, and more than a few few of them have told me, you know, I needed this. This is the best thing that ever happened to me.
Absolutely. And if you talk to really successful people, which is really the last thing I really want to make sure people know, is that you have to be able to admit and own and acknowledge and be grateful for your luck. Really successful people will always say, you know what, I worked hard and I got a little lucky. You know, so really honoring the fact that in our lives, not everything is self-determined. There is luck and there is chance, and being kind of grateful for it and open to it is really going to help you.
What are you going to do, though, if you're by nature not an extrovert? You know, you may be more introverted.
Then you have to work at it.
And you may be walking through life with your head in a book, right?
Then you're going to have
what do you do if you're just not really kind of geared that way?
You're
just going to have to go through life saying, I'm not lucky?
No, you have to change your evil, introverted ways. I am a prime example. My sister is an extroverted, gregarious person. She is the luckiest person, and I've never seen
her.
And you're not.
I'm not. No, I'm on TV. I'm being, you know, this is my gig. But in life, I'm very much like this. I very much work. I've got 10 things to do. Let's do it. I don't really like to talk to people. And I got really tired of seeing my sister, who I thought was a slacker, get all the lucky breaks. So I started copying her behavior, and I started like really trying to be extroverted and cultivating networks and friends. And I got to tell you, my luck changed literally overnight. I am now one of the luckiest people I know.
What did you see that your sister was doing that you were not doing?
She was open. She was friendly. She was willing to take a chance and a risk. She wasn't trying to solve her own agenda so much that she wasn't open to other people. And things just started falling her way, and they do now.
You know, there's a time in everybody's life, it usually happens several times a day, where you erect those barriers. Say,
that's right.
You know, I should go talk to that person because they may have something interesting to offer or to suggest or whatever, but no, I'm not going to
do it.
And it's just that people do that several times a day. It's just like they sort of shut themselves off from the world.
That tiny little thing. I was waiting in line for a cab, and I was late, and I was very, very stressed, and it was at a hotel, and a woman came behind me. She was waiting for a cab, and I really was more like, my cab, back off. But instead I turned and said, you know, why don't you share a cab with me? You're both going to the airport. Not only did she pay for the cab, it was $70, but she turned out to be a fantastic business connection. So that little just switch that I flipped really turned out to be a lucky moment for me.
Wow, you did the right thing,
didn't you? I did the right thing.
A lesson learned.
But now I believe I'm lucky, so lucky things happen.
There you go. All right.
Very
I'm going to apply that a little lesson right up here.
Mary,
thank you so much. Good to see you again.
Good to see you as well.
Mary, thank you.